Hey everybody, welcome back to the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. I'm your host, Gordo Gambles, and welcome back to their full card breakdown. This time for UFC 314. We are in Miami for a fantastic pay-per-view, all headlined by Alexander Volkanovski and Diego Lopes. It should be a phenomenal 13-fight card, and it's a big pay-per-view I've been looking forward to for a long time. Now, right here we have a little bit of a different camera angle. We're trying out a new mic, trying out a new camera, trying to make these things work. They don't. We'll StreamYard it. It's fine. But we do want to talk some fights here. I am looking forward to it. As always, covering everything from a betting and a DFS perspective. As always, make sure to check out Established to Run for my premium DFS content. Do a show over there with Brett Appley, and also did a couple write-ups this week. As well as check out CoolBet, where my best bets and my boost will be posted this week, which is pretty cool. Check that out using code GORDO. With all that out of the way, let's talk some fights. I like doing them kind of rapid fire style. So let's see what we have here and see what we can take away from this slate. We get the fight night started with the 8-2 Nora Cornolle versus the 7-3 Haley Cowan, and what is a pretty interesting matchup. Cornolle here is someone who has been seen more recently, is a pretty solid striker, has been being able to get some pretty good power in her fights there as well, and is someone who wants to go out there and inflict damage with their strikes. Takedown defense could use some work, especially against someone here like Cowan, but still someone who I think has been improving that, someone who, has been active, has had that athleticism to propel her to some wins in this division. Cowan, we haven't seen in a while. She is more of that size bully, a former gymnast who pretty physically, pretty built, but wants to hold you up against the cage. Not the same striking arsenal, but pretty durable, pretty physically sound, someone who is able to take you down if she needs to. Now, I do know there is some personal stuff going on for Cowan. I won't get into it too much, but she is someone who I think, with the long layoff, the lack of striking she does have, and with the fact that she is so one-dimensional in her physicality, that's kind of what she relies on to get these wins. Having someone in front of her in Cornolle who also has good physicality, but striking to back it as well, better length, better pop in her punches as well, and just a better overall versatile striker, and someone who's been training and probably more active in that and the right mindset is someone I have to go with here. I think Cowan does have a path, but I haven't seen much from her in a long time to really know what I'm getting from her here. And I do think that Cornolle is shoring up the defensive grappling, and she should be able to win this fight, especially if this fight takes place at distance. So give me Cornolle there. DraftKings-wise, 8.6K. I mean, she did score 105 in an upset KO win, but 74 in a decision. She is more so striking based, so without a finish, at 8.6K, she is more robust. Not enough volume, not enough grappling potential to go out there up to a ceiling. Cowan, I guess, has a path, so at 7.6K, grappling, control time, that's her path to victory. Could score well in a win, but not a fight I'm too interested in. Give me Cornolle doing this one by decision. I do think she gets it done, just maybe not the best fight on DraftKings. Then with the 5-2 Tresean Gore, 13-1 Marco Tulio. Tulio, a pretty big hype train right now, someone who has come off a pretty nice win last time, but someone who is very powerful, utilizes that power in striking, finding out how to shoot the box over there as well, who can grapple, but more so wants to go out there, throw spinning attack, time the shots pretty well, and use that explosiveness to get those highlight reel knockouts. Tresean Gore, that's kind of what he was. We saw him on The Ultimate Fighter as a 3-2, 3-0 fighter, someone who we don't really see much out of at that point in time, who has now taken the time, coming off back-to-back guillotine victories, so the time off is certainly paying well for him here. With that being said, he's a pretty one-dimensional guy. Ton of power, kind of utilize that athleticism, decent guillotine, but is not going to go out there and wrestle too often. Does not have any volume on the feet. Does not react to shots very well, let alone being knocked out by Cody Brundage. He does have his flaws. So whereas Tulio wants that big shot and will leave himself open to counters in order to deliver it, so maybe there is a chance for Gore to get that knockout, I think his paths are kind of slim here. I have to favor the volume of Tulio, the offensive grappling and minute winning with not only his volume, but also his wrestling shot go there as well. And I just think he has more paths to go out there with the better durability to land the bigger shot. So give me Marco Tulio, get this one done. DraftKings-wise, either one could score well. I mean, Tulio went out there, scored 113 in his victory there. We know he has knockout power. We know Gore's been knocked out. That is a path. Whereas if Gore's winning, 7K could break the slate. 98, 95 in his first two wins. I think his win condition is probably a counter shot knockout or a guillotine if he's getting opportunistic there, but pretty limited to that. Give me Tulio. I do think this one ends inside the distance. I just think Tulio has more ways of getting it done. Then with the 16-7 Sumudaerji versus the 9-2 Mitch Raposo. Sumudaerji is always going out there putting on fun fights. He's going to have a long reach advantage in this one, and he uses it pretty well. A lengthy striker with some solid power who's been shoring up that takedown defense because that's kind of been a hole in his game. You look at a guy, Mitch Raposo, kind of newer to the UFC, but pretty well-rounded. Very good pace, able to go out there and wrestle as well. Very durable, tons of volume. He is a dog. He wants to go out there and fight for your money, and I do like that style that he brings. Now, the elephant in the room is the fact that not only Sumudaerji has more experience, but 8-inch reach advantage. He's going to be a much larger guy who's probably going to be the quicker striker of the two. With that being said, though, I think that's kind of where his advantages may lie. Experience is striking. Aside from that, I favor the pressure of Raposo, the durability of Raposo, the takedown offense, and the grit he has there as well. I think there's completely a world where Sumudaerji goes out there and outpoints Raposo to a striking-based decision, control, and range, but enough to make him a minus 200 favorite here, minus 160? Not really. I think Raposo is very, very allowed to go out there and shoot takedowns, make this fight close, make it grimy, and potentially win minutes. Close the distance on Sumudaerji, take away that length he does have, and he could very well win this fight here. So I kind of like the dog shot here on Mitch Raposo. I think at evens, the clearest path to victory is Sumudaerji, so maybe I take him at evens, but with the odds we got now, give me Mitch Raposo to go out there and pull off the upset. DraftKings-wise, that means I like Mitch Raposo. 7.3K, scored 19 points last time, so can't really put too much into that. But that was against Andre Lima. Now against a guy who's easier to take down, a fight that is expected to go 15 minutes. Raposo has the volume. He's got pretty good durability and pretty safe floor to go out there and fight at a high pace. I think he will shoot takedowns. I think he will look to close that distance against Sumudaerji and has a pretty good ceiling at 7.3K. Does he win all the time? No, but more than the price tag does entail, I don't mind him here. Sumudaerji is KO dependent, and I don't think it's a knockout too often here. Aside from my boy Malcolm Gordon has never eclipsed 80 points. So I'm kind of fading Sumudaerji, playing some Raposo down low. Should be a fun fight. I'm taking the dog here. Then we have the 10-2 SD Dumas versus the 19-9 Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. And I actually think this is a pretty fun fight. I really do like Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. He has been thrown to the wolf, 1-4 in his last 5. Those are losses to Shara Bullet, Kevin Holland, Kyle Borralho, Michel Pereira. Those are some really good fighters and guys who are able to go out there and utilize his biggest hole in his game, which is that ground game. Now, SD Dumas can go out there and wrestle sometimes, but he is a guy who wants to land the big shots on the feet. Not as fun or as active as a fighter of Michel, but a guy who's got solid power, pretty opportunistic grappling game as well, and who can point fight from the outside. But I mean, while Mikhail's going out there facing those top contenders, SD Dumas is barely beating Dennis Tululian and Cody Brundage and Zatar, and just very different level of competitions. This time, Mikhail Oleksiejczuk is going to have the opportunity to walk him down. That's what he does best. Very good pressure boxer, ton of power on the feet there as well. Typically doing that against 205ers, now doing this against a guy here in Dumas who does not absorb damage very well, who, yes, can hit pretty hard, but does not have the same volume that Michel does. I think that Mikhail has all the tools to win this fight. I think he's going to have to be the aggressor in this one. I think he's shoring up that takedown defense, and he's working with the fighting nerds, which would give him a better chance. Maybe some more aura in this one as well here as well. So give me Michel. I think he's going to go forward, and he's going to put a pace on someone like SD Dumas, look to put the quit on him, and when Frem did that, he was able to finish Dumas there as well. I think Mikhail goes forward. I think he finally gets a win after a very good level of competition, finally getting that step down. DraftKings-wise, I love this one, though. 9K for Oleksiejczuk when he's won his fights. His last win scored 117 against Njokwani. 105 against Brundage, 124 against Alvi, ton of knockout power, amazing volume, and he does want to go out there and get a finish. Flip side of things, if Dumas is winning, it's going to be in the ground game. I mean, that's the clear hold that Mikhail Oleksiejczuk does have. He is there to be taken down, so if Dumas wins, it's probably coming on the ground. I don't think he does so, but you could cover your bases. It could score very, very well. Give me this fight on DraftKings. Then we have the 29-11 Darren Elkins versus the 30-11 Julian Erosa, and this is a super fun fight. Darren Elkins always in a lot of wars, always out there bleeding, but a guy who's able to put on a very good pace, even at his age, and look to beat people down the stretch. Facing a guy here in Julian Erosa who is kind of like that glass cannon, super good offensively, great guillotine, great power, but can be knocked out in his own right, can be finished, and is a hard guy to trust. I just think at this point of career, these guys both do the same things. They kind of outlast their opponents. They're underdogs that win a lot of the time here. And it's just, you have a guy here in Erosa who's not only bigger, but the younger fighter who has more power on the feet, who's probably the more dangerous submission guy, and who has really good cardio as well. Where is Darren Elkins going to beat him? Darren Elkins beats his opponents by breaking them down the stretch, outliving them, out-cardioing them, and finding a good submission. That's the same thing Erosa does. I think Erosa not only has more power, but just more opportunities to get this one done. I think he's just a better version of Elkins at this point in his career, although he is hard to trust considering, he is Julian Erosa. DraftKings-wise, Erosa has been a historically good fighter. 111, 93, 97, 112, 101, 131 in his last wins. Considering the pace at which this fight's going to take place, I think this one could score very, very well on DraftKings, and I do think that Juicy J could be a solid option up top. I don't think Elkins win too often, so I'm not getting to him down low, but I guess he could have a solid floor considering his durability in the past. But I definitely do not mind Erosa here on DraftKings. Then you have the 15-3-1 Chase Hooper versus the 38-18 Jim Miller, a new age versus old age type of matchup. And I think this one's really fun. Jim Miller has been able to stay around the top, 41 years old now, been around forever, most wins in UFC history, and he's fun to watch. He's got a ton of power in that left hand and a pretty good opportunistic submission game. But he takes a guy here in Chase Hooper who has definitely been on a roll. This guy came into the UFC very, very young, now only 25 years old, and still absolutely rolling over here. Phenomenal submission game, really showing up that striking as well. But it's his pace, his pressure, and how good he is at not just forcing exchanges, forcing scrambles to which he's able to get the better of them. That just makes him the guy he is. He's just got great cardio and great ability to flow from top position, phenomenal grappler. So at this point in their careers, although Jim Miller could land that big knockout shot, the same one that put away Hooper in the past, you just got to think Hooper's going to be a step above. He's got a guy who's probably going to have more cardio in the grappling. We've seen Jim Miller taken down and held down there before, and now you got a guy there at Hooper who is going to force exchanges on the mat, who's going to want to throw a pace, who's just going to look to catch Miller in different positions, and Miller has been submitted before. So I have to give a slight edge to the BJJ to someone like Hooper. Although Miller probably has a path on the feet, probably to not look plus 500, I do think Hooper's just going to want to get this fight to the ground, where I do think he has the edge in not only being the bigger fighter with more control, but probably dictating in which the scrambles take place. Give me Chase Hooper. DraftKings-wise, Hooper's the most expensive fighter on the slate by $300. So if there are some underdogs you like, maybe you can go out there and afford him, but there's so many good options. Here's the thing with Hooper, though. 113, 134, 120 in 3 wins there. A very, very solid fighter, pushes a very, very solid pace, and I do think there's a spot where he could score pretty well here. It's just a loaded top range. If he predicts to be highly owned, I'll go elsewhere to Erosa and Tulio. If I'm able to afford him up top with some other underdogs, I'll get to Hooper. I think he's able to go out there and score very well this week. That's just me. I think he wins this fight. But definitely a guy I'll be looking to sprinkle into my tournament lineups. In what should be a pretty fun fight, he should get done. Then we have the 21-3 Virna Jandiroba, 19-4 Yan Xiaonan. Another really fun women's fight here. Yan Xiaonan has a ton of power. She's made her way up the ranks by just being tough, being durable, and she's put on some good fights. Verna's also been on top for a while, facing some great grapplers in her own right, and she does definitely have a memorable face and eye, if you want to be really honest, but someone who is paid her dues. Very, very gritty fighter, able to keep it close on the feet, but someone who really wants to utilize that grappling. And that's kind of what it comes down to. Although Virna can strike and has been pretty durable, Yan's got some phenomenally fast hands, a ton of power out there, and will win the striking. But we have seen Yan Xiaonan demolished on the ground, be taken down, controlled there, and pounded out by Carlos Esparza. Virna is a phenomenal grappler, a very solid wrestler in her own right, someone who can dictate where the fight takes place. So in a spot like this, I typically like my wrestlers. I think Virna can probably go out there, take her down. I think she can stay safe on the feet and just dictate this ground exchanges, to which I think she's just going to be a step above. She's very physically fit down there and very, very dangerous with the submission games. I just think that having a good submission game that she does is probably a bit more important than the quick hands on the feet. Give me Virna by ground game. Because of that, you got a girl in Jandiroba who's got a ground path to victory against someone who gives up a ton of points on the mat. I mean, Zhang Weili put up 1,000,000 points against Yan Xiaonan. Carlos Esparza put up over 150 against Yan Xiaonan as well. The points are there. Virna Jandiroba at 8.3K is one of my favorite plays this week. Of course, not a guaranteed to win, but when she wins, it's going to come with ground control, to which her opponent gives up a lot of points. Give me Virna this week in what is a pretty fun fight here. Then the prelim headliner, the 18-9 Danny Ige, 13-1-1 Sean Woodson. I love Sean Woodson. I say it every time. I watched a ton of his fights, St. Louis guy, very big fan of him, and this frame of his makes him very recognizable in public, but also a very, very solid fighter there as well. He's able to control range very well, very solid jab, phenomenal volume, and decent ground game if he wants to get entangled in some clinch exchanges as well. He faces Dan Ige, who is just the opposite style fighter, a shorter fighter for the weight class who just packs a big punch. So is it the range, the volume, the jab of Woodson, or is it the power jab of Ige, the power hooks, and just the moment winning? It's minute versus moments here, and I do typically go towards the guys able to win more volume, but I'm torn on this one here. I was expecting Woodson to be an underdog considering the name value that Ige brings, but I guess it's hard to overlook that reach and the size that Woodson does have. I think at the end of the day, it's very possible that Woodson goes out there and out-jabs into a decision. He's got an incredible volume. You cannot discredit that at all. But I think I favor Ige's durability and his power and his moment-winning opportunities. I think it's going to be his strikes that set the crowd on fire. Give me Dan Ige. I love Woodson. I really do. But I think Ige is a guy who's being kind of undervalued here. He's able to knock down Murphy, and I don't think Woodson can scramble and wrestle the way that Murphy was able to last time. I think Ige is able to have more finish upside in the spot here as well and be able to win more moments. Give me Dan Ige. DraftKings-wise here, he is so boomer bust. As an underdog, he's someone I'll definitely be looking to target because he has that power upside, finish upside. Who knows, maybe he wrestles as well. But this is more of a sneaky contrarian play. Woodson has scored very well with his volume. Ige can score well in a knockout win. Not my favorite priority target considering the other boomer bust matchups we have talked about, but a fight that could definitely score very, very well. And a contrarian play I will be sprinkling in here. Give me Dan Ige though, despite me loving Woodson as a person. Then we have the 30-9 Nikita Krylov, 14-4 Dominic Reyes. Another super fun fight. Dominic Reyes coming off a win, a couple back-to-back wins there. He's getting back on track, but there's no denying the knockout losses he had. It was not a good look for him. People thought he was done, and that feel-good story against Jacoby, it reigns supreme. Now I'm facing Nikita Krylov, a guy who I haven't seen in a bit, but a very explosive individual, a very powerful individual who will throw everything he's got at you over there, and a guy with a really solid wrestling and grappling game here as well. In a spot like this, I understand why Krylov's the favorite. Although he doesn't probably have the most technicality, he's got a ton of power, and he will go out there and he will blitz you, and Reyes' chin is definitely still in question. I mean, Jacoby was still hitting him pretty well, so still walking him down before being caught. I'm not going to count the Anthony Smith fight, so to me, Krylov has all the finish upside here. He will go forward early. He will look to take a shot to land a couple as well. And I think he's got more finish upside. Additionally, I think he's the better grappler of the two and could land control time here as well. I'm picking Nikita Krylov. I think Dominic Reyes could have success the longer this fight goes. I'm not a big fan of Krylov's cardio. I just think he's got to survive there, and until I see that, it's hard for me to pick him. So maybe some viability to Reyes in a late career resurgence, but I still think Krylov gets this one done. Because of the way he probably gets it done, 8.8K is really intriguing for someone like Krylov. 121, 127, 121 in his last 3 fights. Phenomenal scores. And facing someone with the durability concern of someone like Reyes, he could go out there and put up another very, very big score this week. One of my favorite GBP options of the group. Maybe not the safest one overall because he does fall off a bit later, but I really do like his upside this week. Someone I will be getting to for sure at 8.8K. Considering all the favorites I'm taking, I will be summarizing it the best I can. And we got Patricio Pitbull versus Yair Rodriguez. The debut of Bellator star Patricio Pitbull. I think it's a really, really fun fight. Pitbull maybe would have been better to get a couple years ago. He's now coming off a couple bad losses. We've seen him knocked out. We've seen him have issues, but I think this is a really, really fun stylistic fight. Pitbull's got very good cardio, very good volume, can mix it up in the takedowns as well. And I think that makes it for an entertaining matchup against a guy here, Yair Rodriguez, who's been at the top for a while, who's got some phenomenal entertaining striking there as well, but is not a guy who's unbeatable, right? I think it makes it for an opportunity for this Bellator guy, PFL guy, to have success here. The issue I have with Pitbull is we have seen him slow down. I don't think he's got as much durability as he used to, and he doesn't shoot as many takedowns as we've seen in the past. And I don't know if he has the style to replicate any of the losses that Yair has suffered before. So if we're getting ourselves a 15-minute kickboxing affair, I favor the length of Yair, the kicks he does throw, and just the moment-winning ability he is able to have. I did pick Yair Rodriguez to get this one done. I do think a KO is on the table, but more times than not, it's probably just going to be a volume-based, moment-based decision win here, considering the striking of the two. Because of that, on DraftKings, it's not my favorite fight. I'd much prefer Krylov for this finish upside than someone Yair at 8.7. I do think if the Patricio does go out there and wrestle, could be a pretty solid play at 7.5K, but that's a lot of if, ands, and buts. A lot of things to really play into. I prefer some other options really here on the slate, but I'll definitely be mixing in some Patricio just because he does have some wrestling upside in theory. Then we have the true talk of the town this week, the 15-2 John Silva, 17-2 Bryce Mitchell. This fight is absolutely amazing. It's incredible. It's the absolute madman in John Silva. I mean, I don't even know how to describe him to my buddies who come and watch. He's out here crying before the fight starts, barking like a dog, knocking a guy out, emoting on the mid-fight, and then crying again. Like, I don't know what's going on with this guy. He's an absolute psychopath. I'm kind of scared of the guy, but he's got good vibes around him, got some aura, and he's pretty cool, and a ton of power on the feet. Facing Bryce Mitchell, who I could say a million different things that he said controversially. He's kind of a nutcase, but a pretty solid wrestler at that. It's another kind of striker versus grappler matchup. Bryce Mitchell's fought the way better level of competition. His 2 losses are to 2 power hitters, to which John Silva may be, but he has beaten some really good fighters, phenomenal ground game, phenomenal wrestling, and we just saw John Silva give up takedowns to Charles Jourdain. And as much as I love Canada, that's not really who you want to give takedowns to. So yes, there is, in theory, a path for Bryce Mitchell. He is probably the better wrestler of the two, and he could go out there and stifle the hype train of John Silva. So this line movement's probably adequate, but do you really want to get in front of John Silva right now? Do you really want to get in front of this psychopath barking man who's got a ton of power, who's got great cardio, who's bust people's face up before? I don't know. Can Bryce Mitchell secure him? You can just hold him down for 15 minutes? I'm not too sure. So I think John Silva is a super powerful guy, has busted up guys' face before, has knocked him out cold, and coming off that knockout loss, I do think that there are some screws loose for Mitchell. I think John Silva knocks him out. It's hard. Again, the path is there for Mitchell. It's just hard really for me to see it going any other way. The hype is definitely behind Silva for a reason. I do think he's able to do that. On DraftKings, though, another phenomenal fight to target. If Mitchell wins, it's scoring well. 105 against Gracie, 81 against Ige, 124 against Raposo, 113 against Fili. The path is there to score very, very well, and he has to grapple to win this fight. Flip side of things, Silva has just been a DraftKings monster. 107, 104, 115 in 3 of those wins. He is very, very boomer bust in that top range. I may prefer some other guys if he projects to be popular, but another fight that does play out really well on paper. Give me John Silva, but just what a fight. And then the co-main event, 5 rounds of Michael Chandler, Paddy Pimblett. This one is also absolutely incredible. You have Michael Chandler, who is on a bit of a skid, but facing the best of the best and fighting tooth and nail with them. I mean, super close to the Gaethje, was pretty much beating Poirier, and then a couple of fights against Oliveira. This guy has fought some amazing level of competition. We know he's got a ton of power in his hands, very solid wrestler on his own right, a ton of volume, and a very, very entertaining fighter. Paddy Pimblett has definitely not fought that same level of competition, but he's been winning. He's been doing well. He is a very, very good opportunistic grappler himself. Solid power as well, but he's there to be hit. He definitely has some flaws, but he's just a very big personality out there as well. This fight's amazing. I've seen a lot of love for Paddy, and he's now the favorite, and I don't know if I can get there. I mean, this is just a guy, Paddy Pimblett, who was evens to a guy like Bobby Green, a guy who, yes, had a great opportunistic submission last time as well, but this is a big step up in competition. Michael Chandler is going to have the power advantage on the feet, the volume, the level of competition, the cardio, in my opinion, as well. And if, Charles Oliveira is not subbing him in the first couple rounds, is Paddy going to there as well? So it's tough. I understand that Paddy's a big dude and can take the back and can land with a lot of submissions. He's very good at that. Michael Chandler, I think, is just being a bit disrespected. I know he's not the guy he used to be. I know he prioritizes entertainment over winning fights, but he's got the striking advantage. I think the longer this fight goes, he's the advantage there as well. And he has been pretty defensively sound with the submission at times, right? So give me Michael Chandler. I'm picking him to win. I think he's able to go out there, utilize the striking early, and break Paddy as the fight goes on. There may be some tense moments, but this is a fight that should definitely not hit the scorecards. Should be very, very entertaining. And I'm picking Michael Chandler to be a dog and get it done. And maybe be the first man to knock out Escals. Who knows? Who knows if he can even do that? But I do like him here. DraftKings-wise, because I like him, 7.8K. He's almost my favorite fighter this week. 103 to 107 in his 2 wins. A ton of finish upside. I think if he wins, it's going to come with a lot of volume, a lot of pace, probably late finish as well. Could score very well. I understand Paddy has some upside too. Averages 96 points in his wins. 8.4K, 5 rounds to work, submission upside. He's also some upside. I did pick Chandler though, so for that reason, I will have more of him, especially at a dog price tag. Give me Iron Mike here, but the baddie is definitely live. Should be a phenomenal fight. Then we have the main event, Volkanovski Lopes. This one doesn't really take much to break down because it is a pretty simple dynamic. The path for the belt opens back up. You have Volkanovski, one of the most dominant fighters there, one of the most well-rounded, great. At one point, durability, great volume, great defensive wrestling as well. Very stocky guy who makes very good adjustments as the fight goes on. Very smart and just a very good technical fighter. I mean, he pieced out my favorite fighter for 15 rounds. I mean, I think Holloway won the second fight, but the third one we don't need to talk about. Volk is amazing. And he is just the way better volume minute winner than someone like Lopes. Way better striking, way better cardio, way better minute winning, better footwork, but he's getting up there in age. Back-to-back knockout losses, facing a guy Lopes who's just been a buzzsaw, a ton of power, is just either choking guys out cold and knocking them out. He is very, very dangerous. So he's another guy who is just super explosive. Can Volkanovski weather the early storm? And I don't know, it's a tough one for me to break down. All signs point to Volk, right? Volk should win this fight. He should, as long as he doesn't get clipped. He not only has that cardio advantage the fight goes on, but just the way better minute winner and the guy who's able to dictate where the striking takes place. I thought he was also beating Topuria early on as well. So in a fight like this, I think it's a spot where Volkanovski's winning until he's not. If Lopes wins, it's by early knockout or it's by opportunistic submission, jumping guillotine. I just think Volkanovski's a little more human than we've seen in the past. So the path is definitely there for Diego. However, I am picking Volkanovski. I think he's got more paths getting it done, and I gotta trust my read. I mean, I picked Sadiq Youssef against Diego Lopes. I've made my mistakes. I do think Lopes is beatable, and I do think Volk should be the favorite in this spot, considering all the tools he does have. However, as much as I like Volkanovski, Lopes is a great play on DraftKings, because if he wins, it's early finish upside against an older guy who's been knocked out a couple times. So the winner should score well, whether the volume, the pace of someone like Volkanovski, or the early finish upside of Lopes. I want both sides. I personally prefer Volkanovski. Maybe I'm living in the past, who knows, only one way to find out, but I did take Volkanovski here. That's going to do it for me here on the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. And quickly running through my quick picks, we're taking Volkanovski, Michael Chandler, Yair Rodriguez, John Silva, Nikita Krylov, Dan Ige, Berta Jandiroba, Chase Hooper, Julian Erosa, Mikhail Oleksiejczuk, Nick Raposo, Marco Tulio, and Nora Cornolle. On DraftKings, upside, I love Tulio up top. I think Erosa and Hooper also have some upside, but probably Tulio my favorite option. Mid-range, Krylov is definitely a guy I'm going to, as well as those 3 fights in the middle. Pimblett, Chandler, Jandiroba, Yaonan, and Volk Lopes, be targeting them a ton. Underdog-wise, like I said, I'm on Chandler, and I'm on Ige, and I think they both have a lot of upside of their own right. But I think it's Mitch Raposo, 7.3K grappling upside, who I will be going to down low. Dumas also has a wrestling path to victory when I get to him as well. So does Bryce Mitchell. So between the 3 of them, guys I'm getting to, guys who with ceilings to get there in their wins. It should be a phenomenal week to play some tournaments this week on DraftKings as well. It should be fun. Betting-wise, nothing locked in yet, but something to come, that's for sure. Check me out on Twitter, @gamblesgordo, on CoolBet, using code GORDO for 100% deposit match up to $100. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I wish you all the best of luck on all your DraftKings betting endeavors, guys, and let's make some money, guys.